Think about the topics that are arising through your research. Use those. Okay, that's fine. We can help you, or we can see whether you about ready. Okay, great. So, well, you'll need to show why it's significant in when you're talking about the actual what they did outside as well. So you'll mention it in the definition, but then you'll need to show, because you're going to be comparing and contrasting different boxes. So you need to weigh them up against each other. Okay, right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to have a look at our questions and see. So I'll write in. Okay, so interestingly, you've switched places, both of you, in that you're giving me brevity and you're giving me really in-depth questions, which is really interesting for me as a teacher, because yesterday I told you need to hone it down and you needed to expand. So now I've gone the other way around. Great. So what I would say is, across the board, simple questions. Write yourself simple questions. So that's general feedback. Think about how is the simplest form of the question. How can you write the simplest form? Because you want to solve one it's one idea in one paragraph. So each question needs to talk about one idea. Also, now that you've got a list of questions, I don't want you to just use these ones to do your essay. You'll need to go back over your research and say, okay, which question should I answer? Which one is relevant to my essay topic? So which are relevant to essay topic? So I was just having a look at yours, and what you can do is make them simpler. Because some of your questions here, although they're really good questions, you could take one of those questions and do a whole essay on it. So what I want you to do is think about your essay question, which is, remind me of your essay question. Yeah, so decide which one you want as well, because it is slightly different wording, which will give you a slightly different answer. And what you can do is look back over your questions and say, okay, which ones help me make my stepping stones to my final idea? So if you don't know which ones you're going to keep, you can think, well, which parts of it, so you can highlight the parts that you like of the question and go, okay, this bit I want to keep because it's relevant. This bit I'm not sure about, and then you can keep honing your questions and your topics. Yeah, if you don't know what to choose, take out the bits that you know you don't need, or maybe they're going off topic a little bit. And the more research you do, you'll actually find that it'll become easier. Because I'm doing this, it's a little bit early to do this, but because we're at the end of the week. So for example, start with something really simple. So the fact that you've started with how is Spider-Man depicted in the comics, that's a good question to start with. And what you can do, because your sentences are quite complicated, or questions are quite complicated, what you can do is, so if we look here, how is Spider-Man depicted in the comics? Okay, so what I'm talking about is when we were talking about make sure questions are relevant to the essay topic, I'm now talking about how you can simplify questions and to select what ones are relevant or not. So if you don't know which ones are relevant yet, think about which ones aren't relevant, and you can cross those off. Or if you've got a complicated question, highlight the bit that you know you like that is relevant. Yeah, yours are quite simple actually, which is good. I was surprised actually, because usually you come out with lots and lots and lots. So yeah, I think yours are fairly simplified. Now what you'll need to do is make sure that they are organized enough. So decide whether you're going to do different paragraphs on different fighters. Yeah? Uh-huh. Yeah. 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 Yeah, you could do that as well. That's a good structure. So just think about which one is relevant and which one makes most sense. So, and then when I was, if I carry on with this one, okay, so how is Spider-Man depicted in the comics? That's a good starting point because you're setting the scene in a way. And the worry surrounding his design, because with this first question, the reason I quite like it is that you're setting the scene and you are going to highlight the problems through talking about how he's depicted in the comics. So you'll highlight problems. Which is that. I like your question 3 as well. Why does Spider-Man become so relatable when first introduced? Because you can think about what makes Spider-Man relatable in that. And when you're thinking about your later questions, because you both of you may find that you reorganize your questions. You're already doing this, so that's fine. Because again, you want stepping stones. When you're thinking about some of your questions, your question 6, who was the most relatable to the audience? Why? Origin? Is it truthful to the comic? It's quite nice because it relates to why was Spider-Man first relatable, and then you can talk about what's changed. And you may find you want to have a paragraph on the movies and then a paragraph on the comics. So keep each, because if you have a very complicated question for a paragraph, you may find that you've got multiple ideas in a paragraph, and that could get confusing. Yeah, looking at your question, you were talking about potentially putting 5 and 6 together. I think that might work actually, because it's not going to be a very long paragraph, is it? So you could join those together, and then when you do the transcended sport, you could use different paragraphs for different fighters. Yeah, because in this yeah, because I mean that's really the whole idea of what the greatest meant. It hinges on who they were as a person, and yeah, that's kind of what your argument hinges on currently. Because even if they had, because I have a feeling that even if they didn't have the best and longest title reign or the best quality of opposition in your, yeah, but I think the make it or break it is whether they were a respectable, honourable, and someone you wanted to look up to, a role model. And that actually is probably what you'll go into more depth. So you'll think, question 8, was it Muhammad Ali you're going to talk about? Okay, so how did Muhammad Ali transcend 9? How did Manny P transcend, etc., etc., and then it'll lead you on to a conclusion. Okay, questions? Okay, anything you want me to go over again? Okay. Thanks for joining me in today's class. If you'd like to know more about essay writing, I have a whole blog series all about how to write an essay, but not just that, how to brainstorm the question, plan, research, and once you've written the essay, how to proofread and edit it. If you've got a question, don't forget to leave it in the comments, and of course, don't forget to like and subscribe so that you don't miss a video ever again. Good luck with your studying, and I'll see you in the next one.